So I will try to be brief because I think that we've had some really inspiring talks today. And at the beginning of the Futures Design, I didn't write this to say, just the beginning of this journey of the Futures Design, I was discussing with my students, what is sustainability? What does it mean to you? And I'll be honest, some of them didn't even know the word or the meaning. They hadn't heard of the Sustainable Development Goals. And I started to brainstorm on the wall. Our walls are painted with they say, paint that we can draw on. I wasn't literally writing on the wall. And trying to brainstorm. And I'm looking at projects which are half as inspiring as the ones that we've seen today. And when I was looking at the partners and how to put this project together, so Gediminas and Sarah are both part of the Futures Design project. So I think you can see just from what they've shown today, and of course Becky, so you can see, of course, what they've seen today embodies the ideas of Futures Design. So really great to have the chance to talk to you again. So as I explained to you before, this journey has been 5 countries together, looking at how we can connect sustainability, inclusion, and aesthetics to design learning. What was really shocking for me, more than what I expected, was we did an EU-wide survey, and this survey showed that 85% of the people that answered wanted stronger knowledge in how to even begin thinking about the green transition. And 75% of those wanted to know how they could upskill or reskill in knowledge about the green transition. So this showed us that there was this really urgent need for skills surrounding sustainability, and as well as digital skills. And 0 students had heard of the New European Bauhaus 2 years ago. I would hope that more have in 2 years. And I think it was, I don't have the number here, but it was 50% of educators didn't know the Sustainable Development Goals. It's shocked because I believe the people we have in the room now, we have some form of knowledge, but I have people even coming to me on a personal note, Anna, can you help me with how I can integrate Sustainable Development Goals into my courses? Can you explain it to me? And these are professionals, and this is no fault of their own. There is such a huge gap in knowledge. So we need to respond to this, and we need to respond to it quickly. And this is what got me thinking when we wrote the proposal. How can we do this quickly? And that's what led to the micro-credentials. So somebody is in. Okay. Oh, let me just let them in. Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. So apart from our survey, we did a series of focus groups and workshops with our 3 target groups. So our target groups were students, of course, but also educators and current creative professionals. And we found out that students want hands-on collaborative learning, which has visual impact and visual community impact. They want to see what the result of their actions are. Educators wanted ways to embed sustainability and the new European Bauhaus values into their existing courses. And professionals really wanted to focus on the ethical practice, the circular design, and also biodiversity awareness. This is quite broad to put into one project, but our outcome was that these priorities needed to shape our micro-credential courses, connecting creative learning and the green transition. So I have a slide here. What are micro-credentials? Becky showed us earlier in the presentation, but for me, it's small units, big impact is sort of the main point of micro-credentials to me, which can be flexible, stackable, and practice-driven. Doesn't just have to be a short online course in a subject like Photoshop, which seems to be a kind of consensus that students see as micro-credentials. And they complement lifelong learning, of course, and they have the potential to complement existing higher education degrees. Maybe not only in university, also in college and so on. Oh, sorry, the quality is not great. You can see this on our website, but what did we design? We were able, through the project, to design 6 asynchronous micro-credential courses, each equaling 1 ECTS. Now, we had, firstly, the introductory course. So the introductory course aimed to cross all disciplines of design. So this is where the learners would see the principles of the new European Bauhaus, sustainability and design. Then we have a digital tools course for alternative spaces of learning. I will show you how these were put in practice in workshops after, but we also have a toolkit as well, where anyone can access all of the material and the ways to implement the courses. You can also scan the code and you can go online to the courses. So, did I go 1 or 2? So then we also have sustainable fashion design. The sustainable fashion design goes from the basics to modular design, and Doris can elaborate more after if there's anyone that wants to know a bit more. Digital sustainability. So this was focusing on how graphic design can work as a medium in public space, but how, I guess we have this greenwashing of the digital and the amount of energy that is used in a digital context. And then, of course, we have the course on the reuse and redesign of outdated objects that you saw based on Gediminas' work, and as well as inclusive and accessible design for friendly public spaces. So we would not have been able to do this in this way without the core framework of the new European Bauhaus. So this is the values that put together all of these courses. And they combine creative practice with sustainability, inclusion, innovation, and encourage learners to apply different tools to approach environmental and social change. So alongside these, so this was a big conversation that we had with our educators, which was in art and design, we can't just learn in an asynchronous way online. It has to be in practice as well. So what we did was each course has a complementary workshop that goes along with it, which is also worth 1 ECTS. So this is where the student would go online in their own time. They would take the knowledge from the micro-credential. Then they would come to an alternative space of learning, not necessarily the classroom, because actually we believe in the value of the design studio, but we also believe that alternative spaces can engage the learners much more. So the workshops became experimental places where we could really get into depth with the New European Bauhaus values while testing. So this was a pilot stage in the project. So what we did, we piloted the model across 4 countries with 80 plus participants. Students, educators, and professionals all participated. As I said, they were grounded in experimental workshops around the NEB, and we used many different activities based on each workshop, from mapping to prototyping, collaboration, co-design, reflection, etc. So in Cyprus, we explored 2 main approaches. For students, we worked in the old town of Limassol. We observed, we reimagined public space through the lens of accessibility and inclusion. Students mapped the area and they made small-scale interventions. In parallel, we had a second workshop run by Doris that engaged adult designers, and specifically, these designers were migrant women who were living in Cyprus, but they didn't have qualifications in fashion to be able to move forward, to be employed. So these women wanted to create a brand for themselves. So what we did with Doris was they were shown the key skills of photography and drawing, sketching, concept development, etc. They did know how to sew. But we also taught them the value of modular design and how they could use old garments and create new by combining different aspects. So together, this showed the flexibility of these micro-credentials through students and professionals in the local context, but delivering the global goals. In Lithuania, it was hosted at, please tell me how to pronounce it. Okay, gallery. Which, from my understanding, it has a surrounding park, which is a historical and ecological site.
Yeah, so in English it will be on Owl Hill, a hill of owls. Yeah, it's English.
So participants examined how inclusive and accessible design could be shared within protected green sites. And the process involved mapping, observation, collaborative sketching. And the emphasis was on the accessibility, because I have been and I've visited, and it's one of the least accessible sites with many stairs and a very large hill. So the workshop, I would say, beautifully linked to the NEB's environmental and social values of how inclusive design can be sustainable, but also aesthetically enriching. So our partners in Italy, is something going to happen to the TV?
It will be turned off soon.
You just have to touch it and
Is it?
on.
Yeah, maybe.
But it says to.
It's not.
Yeah, there's a question where.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So in Italy, Sarah, you worked with both students and with professionals, questioning how heritage space could reimagine sustainable and community use. So these were more in the historic urban center, and through co-design methods, mood boards, urban mapping, they envisaged how educational buildings and the historical buildings could blend the aesthetics and the social and the environmental concerns. So doing this in the spaces themselves, I mean, if we're talking about both the Lithuanian example and the Italian example, bringing the learners to the space gives so much more understanding of what is possible. And lastly, in Greece, we explored a different angle, and this was digital space. So this is how digital and physical can merge together to create inclusive environments. So this model created online exhibitions for artists so that their work can be shared in a more global context and enabling the principles to equally thrive in the virtual as the physical. So just a little bit about the feedback, because actually 90% of the participants reported that overall they were really satisfied with the workshops and the micro-credentials. And 80% felt that they improved their creative problem solving. They also said they had a renewed sense of agency and ownership. They didn't just see themselves as learners, as students. They weren't just a student in the classroom learning a skill. They now felt that they could contribute to society, the Green Deal, and to change. And I just picked out some quotes that we had from our respondents. And the one is that the involvement in the courses really made them question, is my design helping or harming the environment? So what is the impact it really has? So they started to look back on the work they'd done before to try to see the real life impact. Another said that learning about designing inclusive spaces opened my eyes to how many people are intentionally left out. And lastly, another said that the knowledge of beauty, sustainable, and social impact don't have to compete. They can actually exist together, because I believe for a long time in design, there has been this imbalance of how to use beauty or aesthetics and to match this with sustainability. I won't speak too much about the alternative spaces of learning, because I believe we've covered that quite clearly, but we do have a report, and if anyone's interested, it's also on the main website, so I can show you the website when we finish. But we did create a tool, and this tool, it's an evaluation tool where you can go to any space and you can evaluate it to see if it's suitable as an alternative space of learning. Okay, and our other major output of the project is our Futures Design Educators Toolkit. So all of the experiences that I've only just touched on, because we don't have so much time, have been combined into this one document. It's an open access resource that educators or anyone interested in the project can use to implement this in their own teaching. This is not a project that is open source just because it's a funded program and we need it to be open source. It's open source because as a consortium, and when the proposal was written, we want impact and we want to make change. So feedback from educators who assessed the toolkit was overwhelmingly positive, and they saw that there were some real ready-to-use activities that could be embedded. They can also be adapted to different contexts, different types of design. Okay, so I'm almost finished. So what were the key insights of our project? So at the beginning, I said this is the end of a long 2-year journey of a lot of research and a lot of creativity and a lot of hard work from all of the partners. So across all the sites, constant messages emerged. Experiential collaborative learning was the most effective. We need to have a balance between self-directed work and teamwork, of course. But learners really valued the agency and the reflection of working on real-world challenges. And as I told you before in a previous slide, the NEB framework really gave us a structure, but creativity gave the life to this structure. And I think that this is really the key. So some recommendations. It's crucial that we embed the principles of these micro-credentials into higher education curricula. We need to see alternative spaces of learning as labs, as spaces that we can go to experience sustainability and inclusion. And educators really need more training. And they also need recognition for that training that they receive. So encouraging policy frameworks, and I don't mean just at the higher level, at the institution level, are steps that we can take to do this. These steps can create a blueprint for how we can integrate the New European Bauhaus into mainstream higher education. And lastly, design has always shaped how we live, but education shapes how we design. And Futures Designed reminds us that sustainability is not an additional skill. I think that's something that's really like a thread through all of the talks today. It's a way of thinking, it's a way of working, and it's a way for all of us to be together. So by combining micro-credentials, alternative spaces, NEB values, we can prepare a generation of designers that want to help build a better future, not just design, build. So thank you again.